Comunidad Necia, muy buenas noches. Good evening, everybody. Así es, vamos a hacerlo en Spanish and English, ¿ok? Así porque tenemos hoy a Andy Timmons, sí señor, great guitar player. Andy Timmons is with us tonight. Está con nosotros esta noche. Vamos a hacer la entrevista, por supuesto. Yo le hago las preguntas en English y él me va a responder en English y después yo les respondo en Spanish. Así que, ok, so we're going to be ready for Andy Timmons right now. Okay, Andy.
Hey.
Welcome.
Well, hello. Hola.
Hola.
How are you, Carlos?
Yes. Do you know some Spanish or not really?
Un poquito.
Un poquito. Well, that's okay. Don't worry. I'm going to translate for you, so don't worry.
Thank you. It'll go much better that way. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, before we start, of course, I'm going to introduce ourselves. We are Kenesios. In English, will be something like the stubborn guys or something. Okay. So we're four guys from Venezuela. We're very good friends. And right now I'm in Venezuela. One of the guys is Marcos. He's in Chile. Juan, who created the account, is in Spain, in Madrid. And Tama, who's also his name is Juan as well. He's in Milano, Italy.
Nice.
And of course we're big fans of you, and we're really happy to have you here tonight.
Well, happy to be with you guys, man. Thanks for the invite, and happy to chat and say hello.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just translate for a little bit. Okay, Andy está muy contento de estar aquí, por supuesto. Le presenté a los necios, and of course, welcome everybody that is following us, of course. Okay, Andy, first of all, of course, what artist or band make you pick up a guitar and become a musician? What was that artist, that band that make you pick up a guitar?
Well, obviously, very early on, it was the Beatles that I first heard, because I was born in 1963. So it was all the records my brothers were buying in the 60s. So it tended to be a lot of British invasion stuff. So Beatles, the Dave Clark Five, Kinks, and Yardbirds, you know. And my brothers were also big guitar fans as the 60s progressed, particularly Jeff Beck fans. So all the Jeff Beck group stuff in the 70s, Jeff Beck. But when I first started, you know, I got my first job when I was 13, and I was buying my own records from the record store. When I had some money finally, the first record I bought was Kiss Alive. So, you know, Kiss was a really big influence for me for the rock stuff, because it was perfect. I was 13 and I didn't have a teacher yet. So I was, you know, listening to Kiss Alive, you know. It was just really great straight rock and roll, because they had all the great classic blues rock licks that Ace Frehley had learned from Beck and Clapton and Page. And, you know, just kind of progressed from there. But just literally anything that had prominent guitar, really, I mean, didn't matter if it was rock. It just anything that had the guitar in it, I was instantly drawn to it. You know, I just wanted to learn how to do it. I wanted to be able to participate in music like that. And it still turns me on to this day. I mean, if I hear Hendrix or Eric Johnson or Jeff Beck, you know, Steve Lukather, they're all my favorite players, that you just instantly I get inspired and want to pick it up, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you mentioned a lot of people. Wow, that's amazing. That's great. And of course, you mentioned unfortunately, we lost him, Jeff Beck, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and we miss him. Yeah. And well, okay, so let me translate a little bit for you. Okay,
sure.
Bueno, Andy nos cuenta que, bueno, una de las bandas que hizo que él tocara la guitarra obviamente fue los Beatles, y que también escuchó a los Yardbirds, The Kinks, Jeff Beck, por supuesto, que lamentablemente lo perdimos recientemente, y que sus hermanos, gracias a sus hermanos, él fue conociendo la música que lo hizo de verdad tomar el instrumento. Y además, Kiss Alive fue el primer disco que él compró con su propio dinero a los 13 años, y para eso le cambió todo, porque Ace Frehley fue una gran inspiración para él. Y bueno, también Hendrix y muchos otros guitarristas, por supuesto. Well, you know, Andy, this is mainly for Latin America, of course. This account, of course. You perform in Latin America in Chile and Brazil. Those are the two countries you went.
Yeah, I've been to, so not nearly enough, obviously. I've been to Brazil more than anywhere else in South America. And so, but I hope to come back. Many great memories in Chile and want to visit more often, man. So let's make it happen.
Yes, yes. What do you remember about those shows in Chile?
Oh my God, Santiago, just incredible energy, really great rock fans. I think the last time it might have just been, I know I was there with Olivia Newton-John at one point, but I also did a couple of maybe Ibanez clinics. But like there was one where like, it was like 1,000 people. It was a proper gig, it was like, and the energy was off the hook, very passionate about the guitar music there. So of course, makes me want to come back. I need to get back there ASAP.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of people saying, come to Spain, come to Argentina again. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Love Spain. Love Spain too. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course.
And Argentina, Buenos Aires. Yeah.
Buenos Aires. Yeah, you have to go there. You have to
Yeah.
go there. I mean, like you said, the energy is fantastic. Okay.
Absolutely.
Of course, from everybody who's watching us, if you have a question for Andy, you're welcome to do it. So just make sure that I'm gonna try to write because messages keep passing by. So I'm gonna try my best. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Carlos. You're doing great.
So, thank you. So, okay, in Spanish now, Andy sí tiene buenos recuerdos de haber presentado en Chile, donde más se ha presentado en Latinoamérica es en Brasil, donde estuvo más que otras veces. Dice que la gente de Chile es increíble, así que bueno, es una energía impresionante, así que bueno, es una cuestión de verdad impresionante. Andy, we're from Venezuela,
Okay.
the four guys who handle this account. Do you know any Venezuelan bands, any rock bands that, I don't know if you caught your attention or something?
I'm not sure. You'd have to name some bands. I'm not aware of anybody specifically from Venezuela that. Who would I know? What kind of?
Well,
I don't get out.
I
don't
can
get
probably.
out much.
Yeah, okay, of course.
Yeah,
But maybe I can recommend you. I don't know. There's a lot of bands. Probably the most famous one that I can recommend you. They're a very hard rock band, Caramelos de Cianuro, which is
Okay.
in English will be something like cinnamon caramels or something.
All right.
No, it's really cyanide.
I like them already.
Caramels. Yeah,
Oh,
cyanide
okay.
caramels. Something like that.
Much more. I like cinnamon better than cyanide, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, it was my mistake.
I'm open. I'm open to checking out everything. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to give you some names when we finish, so you can check
please
out
do.
some.
Please do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of great, interesting music in Venezuela. So
Sure,
I think you're going to love it.
I know I will. Everywhere I travel in the world, I'm always amazed at how many great musicians I meet, the great music that I'm exposed to. I'm just a fan of people making art, and even if it's not a style of music that I particularly am drawn to, I'll appreciate the depth and the passion if it's there. If it really has something to offer that they've put their life into, you can feel that. So it's always inspiring wherever I go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now in Spanish. Bueno, sí, Andy dice que no conoce ninguna banda de Venezuela. Para los que nos ven desde Venezuela, que él va a conocer, él quiere conocerle, y le nombré Caramelos de Cianuro para los venezolanos, y de verdad que sí, es una banda que a él le gustaría conocer porque le gustó el nombre, a pesar de que, bueno, me equivoqué, le dije que eran de canela, pero no es cianuro realmente. All right, Andy, so we got some questions right now from the audience, so let's see.
Bring them on.
That's right. Okay, the first question. Please tell us about your experience with Sidney Carvalho and Bossa Nova.
Sydney's a dear friend of mine. For those that don't know, he's a great guitar player based in Sao Paulo. And I think we maybe met at a NAMM show in Anaheim, California years ago, became friends. And I started coming to Brazil for a variety of either clinics or tours. And there was one show, I was doing a show with Ted Poley in Sao Paulo, and I needed it's the only show I did with Ted since Danger had split up the original band. There was a reunion, 7 shows 5 or 6 years ago, but I hadn't seen
we'll
Ted
talk about
forever.
that later.
There was a one-off show, and I needed an amp, and I contacted Sydney, and he brought out his Mesa Boogie for me to use on this gig with Ted. And he also brought me a pedal. He was working with a company called NIG, or GNI as we know it here in America. And it just began a relationship with me and GNI that he was representing, and still works with GNI. So I started using their Octafuzz thanks to Sydney. But so we were doing a clinic tour in Brazil, I don't know how many years ago, but I decided, because I love jazz and I love bossa nova, particularly, you know, Brazilian music. And I thought, well, I should be playing some bossa nova every night. Maybe we could find a local player to help me, you know, play a bossa nova. So when Sydney says, "Oh, I play bossa nova," you know, maybe I could back you up and we could play. I'll bring my nylon string guitar. And one thing led to another. Then Roberto Menescal ended up seeing some of our videos on YouTube and invited us to his studio to record a bossa nova record. It was beyond my wildest dreams. So we ended up making this wonderful record, just Sydney and I, and Menescal's band on a few songs. And it's one of my treasured memories of my life, you know. So I love Sydney a whole lot. Yeah.
Great. Bueno, Andy, le estábamos preguntando una pregunta sobre Sidney Carvalho y dice que, bueno, que su experiencia en Brasil fue excelente, que fue una experiencia muy bonita y que es uno de sus mejores amigos, así que, bueno, obviamente nos explicó de que le regaló un pedal y otro tipo de cosas, así que, bueno, excelente por ahí. All right, because we have to, obviously, it's our audience, of course, that we have to pay attention to. How do you manage to keep inspired and in touch with your instrument after all these years playing guitar? Oh, very interesting question.
It's always with me wherever I go.
Yeah.
That is a great question, because there's, you know, when you start off playing when you're young, you know, it's all you want to do, and your whole life is dedicated to it. And then life does have a tendency to get in the way sometimes. Even though I've always been a professional guitar player, that's always been my work, you know, there's lots of other things to do with your career that, you know, keeps you away from actually just working on the instrument. And sometimes inspiration can ebb and flow. And I've been through periods of my life where maybe I wasn't as inspired, or I wouldn't be listening to guitar music so much as I would be other styles of music or different instruments, different influences. So just realize that that's normal, and that I don't know. But I've been fortunate that most of my life I've always wanted to play. I've always wanted to keep getting better. I've always wanted to keep, you know, improving. And it's easy to be humble, because no matter what level you get to, there's so many great musicians out there to let you know that, yes, you're doing okay, but there's all these other things that, you know, that you can be working on. And that's the beauty of Jeff Beck all these years. You know, he kept improving and pushing his own boundaries. And I like to think that I'm doing the same thing, where, you know, I played a certain way 30 years ago, but I still want to keep improving and learning different things. I'm still that same guy, but a broader version of that guy. You know what I mean? It's just to keep growing and to keep adding to things that you love. And that becomes you, you know, all these things that we're influenced by. It comes out filtered in our music, you know?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Okay, in Spanish now. Sí, Andy está diciendo que obviamente la inspiración que él tiene de cuando tiene una canción lista, pues que esa fue la pregunta, de verdad que es una situación en la que él lleva muchos años como guitarrista, y que bueno, que él precisamente, por más que él quiera mejorar y quiera seguir superándose, siempre va a haber guitarristas y músicos muy buenos por ahí, pero que él quiere como innovar y quiere seguir evolucionando, tal como lo hacía Jeff Beck, el lamentablemente desaparecido Jeff Beck, que de verdad lo recordamos con mucho cariño. All right, Andy, obviously, you participated in G4 with Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert, and a lot of other people, of course. So how was that experience with sharing with other fans that, of course, are probably amateur, not as professional as you are, but that you probably get to teach a little bit, and not only teach, but to have a good time, because in those camps, I've never been to those camps, but I heard that you have a great time.
It's always very inspiring. Because, you know, I'm alongside, you know, friends of mine that are also heroes. When you talk about Satriani, you know, very big influence for me at a very, you know, important part of my career, where, you know, he opened the door to let us know, just write some great songs, play your guitar, have fun, you know. But the thing about those camps is that people come from all over, and it's not a matter of what level you're at. It's a matter of that we love the same thing. That's the common bond. From Joe Satriani to the most, you know, beginner level student, we're all there because we love it. And in that, that bridges the gap. It doesn't matter what your playing is, but you're gonna be inspired. You're gonna be, blown away by some great playing. And we even the teachers, myself and anybody else. Mike Keneally was there that year. Paul Gilbert. We're always inspired by all the other students because everybody does stuff differently, and it may have something to offer that you've never checked out before. So we all hang together. It's a blast. The energy is so positive because of that mutual passion. Not everybody has this passion for music and guitar in their lives, and to be able to be in a concentrated area. It always reminds me of when I was in school in Miami where, there was all these players together that just wanted to learn and had that energy. And that's always good for you to be around that kind of, like-minded people. It just kind of gives you fuel to keep going.
Great, yeah. It must have been a blast for you, that experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, in Spanish now. Obviamente la experiencia para Andy del G4 con Joe Satriani, con Paul Gilbert, con todos esos guitarristas y por supuesto con los fans que participaron, que fue increíble porque no solamente él enseñó a los fans, sino que él aprendió de los fans, él se nutrió de los fans que participaron en esa experiencia que de verdad fue brutal, fue increíble, él se la disfrutó mucho y que por supuesto también de estar con sus ídolos como el mismo Joe Satriani, que para él es una gran influencia para él, y también Paul Gilbert, entre muchos otros. All right, let's go to the audience. Let's see.
Sure.
Wow.
I should, Carlos.
Yes.
I should let you know, Carlos, that I'm doing another camp this August. Speaking of Eric Johnson, it's with Andy Wood. It's called the Woodshed. It's in August in Tennessee. I don't know the dates, but if you go to Andy Wood's web channel or website, but it's going to be Eric Johnson, Andy Wood, Mark Lettieri, and myself, and some other players. Doing one of these camps, so if you can make it, come down to hang out. I'm just happy to be there as a fan of Eric, But we're gonna have a great time and do lots of playing and hanging out. Just what I'm talking about, like with the G4 thing. So it's a great opportunity if you're able to make it.
Wow, yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna be in Ohio in those days. So let's see. Let's see if I can handle it.
Not too far, man. Come on down.
Yeah, I will try. I will try. I really will try.
Yeah.
Would like to try.
Yeah.
Okay, antes de seguir con la pregunta, Andy nos dijo que va a participar en agosto con Eric Johnson en uno de estos campamentos para guitarristas, así que pendientes con eso, así que más información ya la darán a conocer muy pronto, así que pendientes en agosto, así que pendientes con eso. All right, here's a question. How do you go from intermediate to professional level? Well, it's a fair question.
Yeah, that's a broad question, but for me, what really made the most important thing for me always was I was always gigging. I from the age of 13 on, I was in a band, and by the age of 16, I was gigging regularly, and that's really the only way to really become really proficient. If live performance is what you consider as being professional. But it's just time on the instrument. There's no shortcuts to any of this. You just have to keep at it, and it's not work if it's what you really love. You can't wait to get your hands on the instrument. You're going to want to do it. But that was always it for me, just consistent working and consistent practicing. And that's all there is to it. But along with that, I mean, being easy to work with, being reliable, being punctual, just being a good person to be around, that's going to make a huge difference too. You could be the greatest player in the world, but if you're not treating people kindly or being a jerk to people, you may not get that gig, right? So just
absolutely,
being aware as a human being, is also a very important part along the way. Don't forget to treat people kindly, but you got to work hard. You got to keep doing it. No shortcuts, but just say yes to every gig you can and just do the best you can. Treat every gig like it's the most important gig ever. And that's how you do it,
Exactly. With discipline, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Discipline, much discipline.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so for our Spanish-speaking audience, él nos dice que, que para poder pasar de nivel intermedio a nivel superior o avanzado como guitarrista, hay que tener disciplina, señores, hay que enamorarse del instrumento, estar, como quien dice, enamorado del instrumento y querer tocar todo el tiempo el instrumento. Eso es lo más importante para poder y practicar y practicar. La práctica hace la perfección, básicamente es lo que nos dijo Andy. Andy, of course, now that you mentioned your side gigs, or let's say other gigs apart from your solo career and whatever you did with, of course, with Danger, which we will talk about that a little later. But I want to ask you, obviously, you used to play with somebody that, unfortunately, and I'm really sad about that she's no longer with us, which was Olivia Newton-John, who for me was such an. I'm a rock fan, I'm a metal fan, but I have a soft spot. I mean, I fell in love with Olivia since Grease, since those days. And, I have to admit, I'm a rock metal guy, but I love the Grease musical. And I was, yes. And Olivia for me, was one of the most beautiful women in the world. For me, she was so beautiful. But tell us about that experience, about touring with Olivia. How was she as a person, as a performer? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the main thing, is to know that beauty was from it within. She was beautiful on the inside. That's the best way I can put it, and there's a reason I worked with her for 15 years. We became very good friends, and I love her. I could have taken other gigs with heavy metal bands or this and that, but if I'm going to leave home, I want it to be with people that I love, and that was the case with Olivia. She really truly was a very kind, but a very hardworking person, very dedicated. She did so much once she got through her cancer in the early 90s. She really did so much work to advocate for people to be aware, to learn about how to catch cancer early, because that's what preserved her life as long as she made it, because she could have died in the early 90s. So her tireless work ethic, her genuine grace and kindness and love of all living creatures, she was easy to love. I'll say that. But I'm very fortunate that I had a really great bond with her, and really, really loved working with her. And I do miss her a lot.
Yeah. We all miss her. Miss her.
Yeah.
But how was? Of course, you just talk about the human aspect, which I think is very, very important. But what about the musical aspect? How was she on stage? How was she on the rehearsals?
She is as professional as anybody I've ever met. I used to tell her, "You're a motherfucker," or "You're a badass." I would just use jazz terms like "You're a badass," because her pitch and her time were flawless, and she knew so many tunes. At sound checks, we do a couple of her songs. We would just break into Beatles or show tunes, and she loved and had a deep knowledge of so much music. I think people would be astounded how many tunes that she knew. But yeah, just great tone, great time, great pitch. Real joy. My job was just to help her just play the music as great as we could play it to help her shine the way that she didn't need us. She could just be out there by herself, but just to lift her up and bring her to people that wanted to witness her beauty like that. It was a true gift.
Absolutely. And I love the solo, the guitars, which I'm pretty sure you probably know by the hand of "Hopelessly Devoted to You." I think that solo, it's kind of cool.
Well, I gotta get my clean set here. Not really a solo. It's a steel guitar too.
Steel guitar.
Yeah, that's a beautiful too. That's John Ferrer's writing. He's a beautiful songwriter that wrote probably 80% of her tunes.
Yeah, anyway, that's a beautiful song.
It really is.
It's a beautiful song.
It's a great melody, great modulations. It's John's a great writer, and she was the perfect singer for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, now in Spanish. Okay, le pregunté a Andy, por supuesto, él tocó con Olivia Newton-John, que ya lamentablemente pues ya no está con nosotros. Dice que Olivia Newton-John era una hermosa persona, tanto en el escenario como fuera del escenario, que por eso es que él tocó tantos años con ella, porque era una hermosa persona, no solo por fuera, sino por dentro, que bueno, que ella luchó con el cáncer durante muchos años y que bueno, lamentablemente se la terminó llevando, pero que ella pudo haber muerto en los años 90 y ella fue muy fuerte, se dedicó a su salud y de verdad que ella logró salir adelante y bueno, llegó hasta lo más lejos que pudo llegar y de verdad que bueno, para él fue un honor haber tocado con ella y bueno, ahí nos tocó un poquito Andy, un poquito de Hopelessly Devoted to You, que es una de las canciones de Grease o Vaselina, como se le llamó en Latinoamérica y en España. All right, Andy, let's go to the audience now. Let's see,
Yeah.
let's pick a question over here.
Sure.
All right, let's see. Okay, Andy, how much are you influenced by Eastern melodies? The directions you go sound a lot like that. There was an artist, his name was Arno Bambahanian, I suppose is the pronunciation, who you might be fond of. Please take a listen to if you have time. Thanks. Okay, they're recommending you some Eastern melodies.
Yeah, so maybe jot that down for me, Carlos. Yeah, I mean, I'm influenced by anything in the world that I hear. This past couple of years, so much of my music has been influenced by Frederick Chopin. I just developed a love of the Polish composer, you know. But yeah, there's certainly so much of the Eastern music that comes from the pentatonic, and I think that, you know, there's certain permutations of that definitely will sound Eastern in some ways. And I love that sound, and I wish I need to spend more time absorbing more of it because I love it. You know, it's just, you just got to kind of just go where your ear and your passion guides you. But there may be some of that in there that I'm aware of. Sometimes I'm not aware of, and other times it's just, it all eventually comes out. All those little things we collect in our subconscious, I think, that move us in a certain way. You know, we collect those, and eventually, or hopefully, it comes out in our own music and our own playing.
Absolutely. Well, you know that. Well, of course, I know you're a big Beatles fan. Of course, George Harrison did all that Indian stuff, which is
very
cool,
much so.
Actually.
Oh, it's fantastic. It really broadened the sound of the Beatles. They were all interested in a lot of different art. You know, all the avant-garde stuff that John and Yoko got into, and Paul was into that too. You know, it wasn't just John. Paul was really into the tape loops and the avant-garde and Stockhausen, but poetry and you know, and painting. You know, they got a lot of life in. You know, and they were absorbing all these things. And George was drawn to the Eastern thing with the sitar and Ravi Shankar. He kept hearing about Ravi Shankar, and finally, you know, started to embrace that. And that was a major thing, and how it all came together, how it just enhanced their music and enhanced our lives because of it. They helped us, you know, broaden our ears and our oral, you know, palette, so to speak.
So to speak, that's right. Yeah. Okay, now in Spanish, bueno, le preguntaron a Andy sobre si le gustaría hacer melodías del Oriente, o sea, de esas melodías así como de la India y ese tipo de cosas. Y bueno, nos dijo que sí, que a él le gusta mucho la música de todo el mundo. Y bueno, después empezamos como que le puse el ejemplo de los Beatles con George Harrison y las canciones esas hindúes. Y bueno, por supuesto me dijo que sí, que es una cosa impresionante. También lo que hizo John y Yoko con la avant-garde también, que fue también muy interesante en su época, y por supuesto toda esa influencia de los Beatles influyó mucho en la forma de tocar de él. Well, Andy, of course you play with Olivia Newton-John, and one of the guys from the team, from the Necios or the Stubborn guys, asked me to ask you this question. If there's one artist, band, or album fans will never expect that Andy's a huge fan, of course you play with Olivia Newton-John, but is there any artists or music that is not usual for the rock and metal community that you like or that you love?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of places we could go. I'm sure that people would go, what?
Yeah.
You know, I was asked a question. I forget, it was somebody in South America when we did a really nice interview. And at the end of the interview, so, you know, tell me what one of your favorite songs that people would be very surprised. And I said, Mandy by Barry Manilow. He goes, no. He actually got mad. You cannot like that. There's no way. I mean, I love all pop music. But yeah, maybe no. But there's one of my favorite records of all time is a record called Wrecking Ball by Emmylou Harris, who's you know, kind of a country, you know, alternative country singer. Been around since the early '70s.
Yeah, I know who she is.
There's a record
that
she made with Daniel Lanois, and it might have been the mid-'90s or early 2000s, I forget. But it's just one of the most natural, real-sounding records. I can't explain how her voice just pierces my soul. And there's even notes that she doesn't sing, but I hear her sing. Sometimes there's these implied melodies. I can't explain it, but listen to tracks. The title track "Wrecking Ball" was written by Neil Young, and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
And there's a song called "Sweet Old World" on there that Lucinda Williams wrote. And it's just some of the most heartbreakingly beautiful melodies and production. It just sounds fantastic. That's a good one to recommend. Yeah.
Emmylou Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
know who
really,
Emmylou Harris is.
yeah, great.
Great. Yes. No. Oh, and of course, well, now Juan, one of the guys, is saying Mandy. Yeah, Mandy's a great song, actually. I think Mandy's a great song.
It's a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a Barry Manilow tribute one day. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually,
yeah, I remember hearing it when I was a kid and just loving it. Like the same time I heard "Have You Never Been Mellow" by Olivia. You know, those songs were out about this. I want to say 1973. That was I'm 10 years old. I was recognizing already, what beautiful music could be and what great melody was. Those things were resonating with me already and still do to this day. I was never a macho, it's got to be metal kind of guy. I love it. I love rock. I have no problem being a sensitive human being, though, right? That's just me. That's just me. So that kind of stuff has always touched me. So it's just part of my DNA, really.
Oh, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. In Spanish now. Bueno, le preguntaba, por supuesto, a Andy que si hay algún artista o alguna canción o algún disco que le gustara que los fans se sorprendieran. Bueno, hace poco le hicieron una entrevista en donde él dijo de Mandy, de Barry Manilow, y que el entrevistador se puso así como que no te puede gustar esa canción, pero por lo menos a mí no me parece mal que a Andy le guste Barry Manilow, así que de verdad que me parece bueno y de verdad él tiene muchos gustos por ahí. Dice que su disco favorito, que no es de quizás rock y metal, es Wrecking Ball de Emmylou Harris, una artista, para los que no la conocen, una artista más del estilo country en los Estados Unidos, que en Estados Unidos es muy conocida, quizás en Latinoamérica no es tan conocida. Yo la conozco porque, bueno, soy un melómano, así que bueno, por decirlo así. Okay, let's see another question from the audience. Let's see. Well, here's a technical question, actually. Okay. Let's see. Andy, what's your favorite speaker? What about the Celestion B30 with, well, I don't know if you can read it, 1 per 12, 2 per 12, 4 per 12. What configuration do you like?
My favorite cabinet has always been the Mesa Boogie Rectifier 2x12 cabinet. And nearly every cabinet I have is stocked with Celestion Vintage 30s. You'll never be able to hear it properly here, but if I can get the amp to turn on here. There it is. Can you hear the guitar okay?
Yes,
coming through my... Okay. I've got two Lone Stars running into two 2x12 cabs in the other studio, in the other room. When I do my live stream broadcast, this is a full studio here, so I live stream with a very good quality sound. I don't know how to do that with Instagram, so catch me when I'm on stage one day. But the Celestion Vintage 30 has just been my go-to speaker. It has enough of the crunch, but it's not too bright, not too harsh. And but there's other speakers I love and I need to experiment more with, but I've just kind of focused all my tone through those. It's good to have some things of your sound that are consistent, so you can experiment with other things and know. So, but that's it. That's just about every tone that you hear on my recordings. That's that Vintage 30 Celestion. The ones made in Britain, not China. Sorry, China.
All right. Oh, okay. No, that's okay.
Man,
that's okay.
They sound better.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Bueno, le estaban preguntando una pregunta bastante técnica sobre su amplificador favorito y bueno, ya nos explicó que él prefiere el 2x12, el B30. Bueno, ya esas especificaciones no sé cómo serán en Latinoamérica porque bueno, yo soy un guitarrista amateur, realmente no sé mucho de esos términos en inglés y en cuanto al español, pero bueno, ahí está la explicación y realmente la persona a la que la hizo me imagino que está bien respondido. All right, Andy, one of the guys also asked me to ask you, why did you decide to study jazz guitar at the University of Miami?
Well, basically because I heard that, or I knew that Steve Morse and the Dixie Dregs had formed there, that Pat Metheny had gone there and taught there. And my first 2 years, I was a classical guitar major at the university where I grew up in Evansville, Indiana. But I knew nothing about classical music, so I was kind of a beginner in that world, but it enabled me to stay in school, which my mom really wanted me to continue my education. But then as I was in Evansville studying classical, I heard about the University of Miami being a jazz guitar department. I said, well, that's more where my heart really, is. And I've been playing jazz since I was 16. My local teacher that I started learning guitar with was a jazz player. He turned me on to Barney Kessel and Joe Pass and some of these guys. And so I auditioned I made a cassette tape and sent it to Miami and got accepted like that. I couldn't afford to go down to audition in person because it was kind of a ritzy school and far away from Indiana, but I got in, they recognized I had some ability. And the 2 years that I spent there was like easily the two biggest years of my musical growth, because I was in school, all day, surrounded by the most intimidating, great players. But then I was gigging 6 nights a week in a top 40 band. And that was my immersion into the real world. I've been playing in bands in Indiana, but now I was around some really high level players from all over the world and gigging all the time. So that really gave me a lot of fuel, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's a great experience, actually.
Yeah,
Wow,
I highly treasure it. Yeah, made a big difference in my life.
Absolutely. Okay, now in Spanish. Okay,
Yeah.
le preguntamos por qué él decidió estudiar guitarra jazzística en la Universidad de Miami. Él dice que, bueno, que él quería como que es continuar sus estudios de la guitarra y también que la mamá quería complacer a su mamá y ir a la universidad. Así que él decidió hacerlo y de verdad que él creció muchísimo y que se vio bastante retado por muy buenos músicos con los que llegó a compartir en la universidad. Así que fue una experiencia muy, muy buena. All right, let's go to another question from the audience. Let's see. All right, here's another technical one. What is your favorite delay pedal?
Well, I'm very biased because I have my own signature delay pedal now. Robert Keeley and his team and I collaborated on a pedal. We worked about 1.5 years on it, and it came out a year ago. It's called the Halo. I wish I had one nearby to show you. It's on my pedal board. I can't take it off my pedal board, but it's the delay that you always hear with my. It's essentially the main patch on it is a dual echo. You can hear that okay. It's a dual echo, dotted eighth quarter notes. Really incredibly lush sounding modulation, and the way that we really taper the delays in such a way it turns into kind of a reverb. Again, I don't know how it's coming across my earbud, but
it sounds great. Sounds great.
It's really been an amazing thing because again, it came out about 1 year ago, and it was one of the best-selling pedals of the year in like so many different websites. It was pretty incredible, but it was really a selfish project that I was just looking for the ultimate iteration of that delay sound that I love. But I was using 2 EP3 Maestro Echoplexes. Then to emulate those, I was using 2 Memory Man Echoes by Electro Harmonics, and all those things sound great, but they're very volatile. And then I was using the Strymon Timeline for a long time because it was reliable and it was programmable, and you could have an expression pedal, but it did 1,000 things, and I needed 2 sounds. And so that's when I found Robert Keeley through the introduction of Daniel Steinhardt from Gig Rig in the pedal show. And then Robert and I finally got up the time to put into it and just didn't stop until we really thought we'd had the greatest sounding delay ever. And I'm so proud of it. So if you get a chance to check out the Halo by Robert Keeley, it's my favorort delay. So thank you for asking. Shameless plug, but it's true,
No, it's okay.
To get on my, I don't collaborate with any company and have a signature pedal or amp unless it's on my board. I'm actually using it. I'm not just going to endorse something just to have a product out there and trying to make $1. That's, we have to make a living, but it has to be genuine. It has to be real for me to want to do it. And so I'm so proud of my relationship with Robert and the Keeley company. They've been nothing but great. Very happy.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, now in Spanish, bueno, dice que él tiene ya su pedal propio, que lo tiene por ahí, pues no nos pudo mostrar porque lo tiene conectado a la peladera, pero sí que él colaboró con Robert Keeley para poder crear esta pedalera y de verdad que sí, es una de sus favoritas, le encanta porque le permite buscar muchos sonidos y jugar con todo su repertorio, así que increíble, increíble lo que está haciendo Andy. Andy, there's another artist you collaborated to who actually is one of my favorite ones as well as a singer and as a player, of course, you collaborated on 2 of his solo albums actually, Keith Winger actually.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the experience working with Keith?
He's a brilliant guy. We met when I was in Danger. You know, I became friends with Reb early on. He and I became really good buddies, and then I would come to see Winger. Of course, I got to know Kip. And at one point, when I was still in Danger, Kip asked me to join Winger. Paul Taylor left the band at one point, and I was still in Danger, but he was asking me to join Winger, and I was, I'm a loyal guy, so I wasn't going to leave Danger. But so when Danger, fell by the wayside for me, and Winger was, maybe I don't know if they were broken up or was taking a break, and he was doing his first solo record. I was the first guy he called. I said, I want you to come play on my tracks. And he had Rod Morgenstein and Alan Pasqua on keyboards. And it's still to this day, that was the record that turned out to be This Conversation Seems Like a Dream.
Yes.
And that every session that we did together, it was just so inspired and so, I don't know, just so natural and musical. He wouldn't give me charts or play stuff in advance. A lot of times we just get a sound, and he just press record and play the track, and I would respond, and improvise, and just to see what would happen. And so there were many tracks we did like that. Then he was living in Santa Fe at the time, and I was living in Texas, in Dallas. And I would fly out different weekends, over the course of months, just every few weeks or so I'd go back and like, he would have taken some of my improvised lines and then written string parts and vocals around it. There's all these really incredibly creative and inspired moments in that record that I was so proud to be a part of. But I was just so blown away by his writing, his production, his guitar playing is incredible, his string arranging. He just such an incredibly deep musical guy. And so I don't know how many records we've done, 3 or 4 records I've been on with him, and I really want to do a real collaborative record with him. We keep talking about it. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen one day. But I really have a lot of love and respect for Kip. He's great.
Yeah. Well, he recently re-released all those records that you're involved in a box set.
Good.
So
Okay,
actually,
nice.
Yeah. Because I think they just came out.
I'll have to get one. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
maybe I can get a discount.
Of course, you should.
Yeah.
I mean, you play on it.
10% off. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure. No, but I'm real proud of those records, man. I love working with Kip.
Yeah, of course. Okay, in Spanish, bueno, le pregunté sobre su colaboración con Keith Winger. Él colaboró en 3 discos de Keith Winger como solista y dice que, bueno, que Keith es un músico excepcional, un músico de verdad que lo conoció en la época de Danger, aunque, bueno, primero conoció a Red Beach, el guitarrista de Winger, y que después sí se fue haciendo amigo de Keith, y que durante esa época, de hecho, Paul Taylor, cuando sale de Winger, la primera persona que llaman para reemplazar a Paul Taylor fue realmente Andy Timmons, pero obviamente Andy en ese momento era leal a Danger y decidió no salirse en ese momento, que a pesar de que después se separó Danger. Y bueno, Andy decidió cuando tocar con Kip, cuando Kip lo llama. Kip lo llama precisamente, quiero que toques en mi disco, y él dijo, por supuesto, lo voy a hacer con todo el placer del mundo. All right, yeah, there's a lot of people saying hello, so hello to everyone who's watching us.
I'm blown away by people from all over the world saying hi and hello.
Yeah.
Very happy to be here with y'all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people from all over the world, actually. But let's see.
Pretty
okay,
cool.
let's see another question here that we haven't answered. Let's see. Okay, here's of course, to go to the present, of course. Could you tell us about the inspiration behind the new single? It's so beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. We're talking about a song called "Here Lies the Heart," and
that's right.
The song first became known because I was in the UK with my friend Daniel Steinhardt I was talking about earlier.
Yes.
He and his friend Nick Tim have a great show called That Pedal Show. And we were doing some live concerts, and then we were going to video some content for their channel. And we were messing around with tones, and we're having a good time. And we did the interview, and I was demonstrating one of my settings, and I started playing this solo piece that I'd written. I'm using the halo. Check this out here. So we get through playing this piece of music. It's a pretty poignant piece of music. It's very heartfelt and touching, but Dan welled up and got tears, and we had to stop filming, because he was so. It brought so, and that's happened before with he and I, sometimes when I'm playing, he'll get this thing, and he's just a special guy like that, and that got a lot of attention. And then, but I have a whole record of pieces that I've composed that are of a similar nature. That I guess a lot of them were written during the pandemic, but it wasn't necessarily inspired by that. But it's inspired by the world in general. But also, it was coinciding with my deep dive into Frédéric Chopin's music, as even songs that I had written before my knowledge of a lot of Chopin's repertoire. What I was hearing him do occasionally were things that I was going for as well. Not putting myself on the level of Chopin by any means, but I recognized some things about what he was doing, and it encouraged me to go further into that type of thing. And so this is a piece that's kind of the first from a collection that might be 15 pieces eventually, called the Outlier Nocturnes. Nocturnes is a common form that Chopin wrote in. Mine aren't necessarily in the nocturne form, but it's in that kind of mood, so to speak, the nocturne mood. So, yeah. But so if you get a chance, Here Lies the Heart. You can find it on my YouTube channel or all the streaming services. It's a very short piece. Sometimes a piece of music doesn't have to be long and complicated to say what you need to say. And the title, Here Lies the Heart, is what's written when Frédéric Chopin died in 1849. He was buried in France, but his heart was taken. His actual heart was sent back to Poland, where he was born, because he was always a Polish native. And it's interred. It's in a church in Poland, and it says, "Here lies the heart of Frédéric Chopin." And so that's where the feel and the name of the piece came from. Yeah.
Wow, that's deep, and that's great. Wow.
Thank you, man.
What a great story. Wow. Well, okay. Now in Spanish.
Sorry, now in Spanish. Yeah.
Now,
sorry.
Yes. Sorry a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Bueno, rápidamente, Andy nos cuenta, por supuesto, de su más reciente single, que la inspiración vino estando en el Reino Unido con su gran amigo, y que él se inspiró en Frédéric Chopin, y que el título, Here Lies the Heart, que aquí descansa el corazón, es precisamente porque Frédéric Chopin está enterrado en Francia, el compositor famoso él está enterrado en Francia, pero su corazón se lo llevaron a Polonia, le sacaron el corazón y lo enterraron en Polonia. Oh, all right. Here's another question. Why didn't you want to be famous like Satriani? Of course, I don't want to insult Satriani. Oh, well, he says that you're better than Satriani. He says, wow.
No.
No.
I mean, it's never about that, of course. Well, it's not a matter of not wanting to be famous, but it's the fame and the money thing was never my driving factor. It might have been earlier in my career, let's say joining Danger, that might have been part of my, desire or what I thought was the real goal, which I thought being on a major label, being in this, band, and, at one point in my life, that might have been the appealing thing. But, as great as my experience was in Danger, it was also the factor in my life that made me realize fame and money has nothing to do with what I'm interested in. I want to be the greatest musician I can be. I want to be the greatest writer I can be. I saw the game for what it is, and it's a game. It's based, it's a business like any other business. And when money enters into any situation, it doesn't improve it. That's my experience. And I stepped away in a way. I keep busy. I keep working on my music, but you know, I didn't want to be a part of that machine. I just didn't think it was for me. Now, I really value and appreciate, you know, the fans that I have. It's a very genuine, organic fan base that I have, and I hope it continues to grow. I really do, because obviously, you know, I'm selfish. I make music for me, but in hopes that other people will love it and it will mean something to them as much as it means to me. You know, whether that makes me famous or not, I can't control that. You know, I guess I could be touring all year and doing all the things necessary to make that happen. But at the end of the day, I need to have a happy life. I need to be with my family. And through that, I think I'll create better music. I really do, by honoring what's really in my heart. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to get out and tour, because I do. I want to get out and I want to play for people, but it's about balance, you know. So, and nobody's better than anybody else. If you like my music, I'm blessed. I'm such a huge fan of Joe's. And he's always a part of my playing, because I learned so much from him.
Absolutely. Joe is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the reality, and you are great as well. That's right.
Thank you. Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm still working.
Yeah. I know.
Always.
Well,
always.
básicamente lo que nos dijo, now in Spanish, básicamente lo que nos dice Andy es que, bueno, un fan preguntó por aquí que dijo que él es mejor que Joe Satriani. Dice que, bueno, que él no se considera mejor que Joe Satriani, sino que más bien él aprendió mucho de Joe Satriani, que nadie es mejor que nadie, que todos tienen su técnica y su estilo, y así es como debe ser, definitivamente. Well, Andy, of course,
yeah.
You were part of this band, of course, that you were part of back in the late 80s and early 90s. But today we received some bad news about somebody who was key to get you in Danger. That appeared today. Danger's official account announced that Buddy Blaze unfortunately passed away. I don't know if you're aware of this news.
Oh, Buddy's been gone for over a year and a half now.
Oh,
yeah, Buddy.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, no, Buddy died. It's been at least a year and a half, if not 2 years. But he's been gone a while, but he's how I got the audition with Danger. It was through him. Excuse my cough. I'm getting over a cold.
That's okay.
No, I met Buddy Blaze. God, this would have been 1988, and he actually was helping a band called Bad English look for a guitar player.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
the one with Neil Sean and all these guys.
Jonathan Cain from Journey and Ricky Phillips from the Babies, which John Wade had been with him in, as well as Jonathan Cain. But Neil had a solo deal on Columbia for a record he was doing, and didn't want to commit to the band. So then they started looking for a guitar player, and Buddy Blaze heard about me in Texas, recommended me to Jonathan Cain and Ricky Phillips. And I sent them my demo, and they had flew me out to San Francisco. I auditioned, and I actually got the gig. They'd auditioned all these great LA guitar players, session guys, and whatnot. And I actually got the gig, and then flew out a week later to spend my first week with Bad English. But then Neil Sean called him and said, "Well, I might want to do the gig now." And so clearly that half of Journey or some kid from Texas that nobody knew. So Buddy Blaze, again, after that said, "Don't worry about that. I know these guys, Danger. They're signed to Epic, and they need a guitar player." And that's how it happened. And he was really a mentor for me in that first couple of years, and really did a lot. Kramer was my first, major guitar endorsement, and but he also facilitated that connection with Danger. And I'm eternally grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but very sad that he died very suddenly. He wasn't ill. Just was on the phone with a friend and died. Very sad.
Oh,
so we had a really big celebration and memorial concert for him in Dallas. It's been about a year and a half ago after he passed, and a lot of great people came to take part in that. He's very much missed. He was a really, really sweet friend. Yeah, very important.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for that loss.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
of
buddy.
course. Yes. And in Spanish. Ok, rápidamente, le pregunté a Andy, por supuesto, sobre Buddy Blaze, que falleció. Él dice que no falleció hace poco, falleció hace un año y pico, que fue la persona responsable de que él se uniera a Danger Danger, y dijo que bueno, que sí, que él fue el que hizo que pudiera llegar la audición para unirse a Danger Danger, porque bueno, él originalmente iba a entrar en Bad English, ese grupo donde era prácticamente todo Journey, con un cantante que no era Steve Perry, por supuesto, que era John Wade. Y bueno, al final se pensó que Andy iba a unirse a esta banda, pero Neil Schon decidió al final unirse a esta banda, y bueno, dice que lo extraña mucho, que hace poco, hace como un año, le hicieron un tributo a Buddy por su aniversario, bueno, por su lamentable fallecimiento, así que bueno, de verdad que sí. Okay, Andy, of course, one of the questions that a lot of people want me to ask you, that's been on the comments, it's, what is your current relationship with the guys from Danger Danger?
It's great. I mean, we always remain friends. You know, I guess historically I've been a bit closer with Steve and Bruno, and yeah, we exchange texts and calls occasionally. But I've also been in touch with Ted a lot more in the last few years than we ever have. You know, since the band broke up. So the relationships are fine. It's all great. So,
nice.
So who knows? Maybe one day, you know. It's been a few years, but we did a handful of reunion shows, and it was a lot of fun to be back with them. Yeah, we just have so much fun together, laughing the whole time. There was always a great, regardless of, you know, all bands have issues and personal stuff that happens along the way, but when we're just in a room just hanging out as friends, it's great. We have such a great time together. So we're all happy to be doing our own things, but you know, that's a very cherished time in my life, and I love those guys a lot. You know, I really do.
But are you open to, I don't know, to probably do a show, a one-off, or probably a tour with the guys from Danger Danger if they ask you?
Yeah, I think it's always possible if the timing's right. You know, who knows what anybody's idea is, but I think it would be fun. You know, maybe just to do a handful of things at some point. Very possible. And that's how the whole thing started. There was a festival in Birmingham called Firefest that were bringing a lot of the 80s bands over, and they made the band an offer if all 5 original guys with Casey, we all get together to do it, they back it, and we're like, yeah, why not, you know? So it's not a matter of, you know, everybody being like, no, I'll never want to do that again, because that's not the case. If the right opportunity arises, it might be a blast. So we'll see. You know, I wouldn't mind doing a recording project with Ted or with the whole original band. I mean, you know, I think there's always potential there to make some good music, some fun music. You know, some good rock and roll.
Yeah, of course, because that's what Danger Danger is about.
That's what Danger Danger was definitely about. You know, it wasn't too serious. And sometimes, sometimes the world needs that. You know.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, and of course, I think that one of the first times I ever saw you was obviously on Headbangers Ball on that Monkey Business video. That's probably one of the first time that I saw your face.
Wow, I don't remember MTV ever playing Monkey Business. By then, they were already kind of headed towards Seattle. But I'm glad that was a fun video, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, I think I did get you on Headbangers Ball at some point because I mean that was my favorite. That was my favorite show growing up. Headbangers Ball, actually.
Yeah, for sure. We used to watch that, and they would have us on Hard 60. That was the other afternoon show. But yeah, great memories, man. Such a great time in my life. Late 80s, early 90s. That was 30 years ago, man. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God.
I know.
Fucking crazy. I feel old now.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what we get. That's what we get for surviving. Yeah, we're still here though. That's pretty good. We're still here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have to be grateful for that. That's right.
Very grateful every day, man. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, now in Spanish. Bueno, me dice que Danger Danger, que él tiene una buena relación con los miembros de Danger Danger y que sí estaría abierto a volver a tocar con ellos, que la relación es excelente, no hay ningún problema entre ellos, que todo depende, bueno, del horario de cada uno de ellos y que, bueno, que es realmente difícil poder reunirse con todos. También me dijo que él recuerda el video de Monkey Business de Danger Danger, que de verdad es un video que de verdad él disfrutó mucho hacer y que es muy divertida la música de Danger Danger y que de verdad él de verdad lo lo disfruta mucho. Okay, let's go very fast with another question from the audience. Let's see. Well, I got something here. Well, this one is in Spanish, but I'm going to translate it. This is from our good friend Janet. She has a band, actually. She's from Venezuela. She has a rock band called Santo Dharma. Maybe we can
cool.
get you to check her out. Okay, she's a singer, actually.
Okay.
Yes. She says, in your long career, which has been the most gratifying moment professionally speaking?
Wow. The most gratifying moment.
Yes.
That's tough. That's a tough one to figure out, you know. I'm searching my catalog of memories here. I think, well, there was one moment where, I mean, anytime I've had the opportunity or the blessing to play alongside some of my heroes, which was Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, but there was one night in Dallas where I'd gone to see Eric Johnson and Mike Stern were playing together. They made a record together, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they were going to do a show in Dallas. And I just went, and I played with each of them individually. We're friends, but those are two of my biggest influences. With Mike Stern in his Miles Davis era and his solo career, and of course everything Eric's done. I went to say hi, and right before they were about to go on, they were like, "Oh, hey man, you want to play?" I'm like,
"Wow,
are you kidding? Are you kidding me?" So their guitar tech had an extra amp out in the trailer, so they went and got an extra amp. And so they invited me up. We were going to play Red House by Jimi Hendrix. Which is great. Yeah. Slow blues in A, no problem. But we get out there. I mean, when they introduced me at the end of the show, I get up and we start playing, and it's not Red House. It's this other kind of funky groove in A. And, Mike Stern comes to me and says, "Hey, man, do you know Fat Time?" And I about fell over. And there's a video of it on YouTube. You can see me actually almost fall over. That was the song that I first saw Mike Stern on Saturday Night Live with Miles Davis in 1982. And it was a life-changing moment because I hadn't heard a real blues rock guitar player playing with jazz vocabulary. Their fusion guitar existed before Mike Stern. There's John McLaughlin and a lot of guys, Al Di Meola. But I hadn't heard quite what Mike did, And this was the song that I heard him playing that night on that show. I was like, I couldn't believe that's where I was standing. Eric, just one of my all-time favorite players, and then with Mike, that was one of my favorite moments. There's so many, along the way, but that was one of those, good Lord, I can't believe I'm here kind of moments, Yeah.
Wow.
But
yeah,
Mike Stern. There are other times opening for Kiss, with Danger, many nights on that tour, several nights with Olivia, that was just overwhelming, the love that would come towards her. It's hard to pick one. I get flooded with all these different memories, but yeah. Very
yeah.
special.
I mean, you have a lot of history, a lot of gigs, so it's hard to pick one, obviously.
But that's one of my favorites anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, in Spanish now. Bueno, nos dice Andy que quizás su momento favorito debe haber sido cuando compartió escenario con Mike Stern, el guitarrista de Miles Davis, que ese fue uno de los momentos más espectaculares que él no se imaginó que iba a tocar esa noche, porque fue que el roadie de Mike le dijo, no, aquí tengo un amplificador adicional, y bueno, se subió a tocaron Red House de Jimi Hendrix, y bueno, que también ha tenido, que quizás pudiera nombrar también, viéndole a Kiss con Danger, o algunos de estos conciertos que hizo con Olivia Newton-John, así que bueno, ha sido una carrera impresionante. Okay, Andy, I have actually a question for you, which is from the song, from Ecstasy, the number one, number one. The song is called Farmer Says. Farmer Says.
Farmer Says.
Farmer Says. What kind of guitar do you use for that one?
That was a Fender Telecaster. I have one here. It's not the same one, but here's the basic guitar.
Okay.
This is a 1968 Tele. The one I had on the record was just a recent issue Fender. Very twangy. Can't see it very well, can you? I got to get the guitar down. So yeah.
All right.
Pretty good. good
Nice,
little,
nice.
little twangy number. Yeah. There's another song on Resolution called "Headed for the Ditch." It's in. It's kind of fun to have a upbeat kind of country chicken picking kind of thing every now and then. But this guitar I record quite a bit with for just recording sessions. It's got a really great rock and it's got a really, really great, strong single coil sound to it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. Sounds great. Sounds
Thank you,
great.
buddy.
Okay, all right. In Spanish now, le pregunté a Andy sobre la canción Farmer Says de su disco Ecstasy, que es uno de sus discos debut solista, que qué clase de guitarra usó. Bueno, ahí nos mostró la guitarra, una Telecaster, una Fender Telecaster, de verdad que increíble. Pues ahí nos tocó un poquito de esta canción Farmer Says. Increíble. Okay, Andy, okay, before we go to the final part of the interview, because good things must come to an end, unfortunately. Let's see. Another question, one final question from the audience. I'm sorry, there's a lot of questions. I'm sorry we can't get up to all of them, but we try. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Andy, do you think you could convince Ibanez to release the 90 anniversary Ibanez anniversary concert footage with "Cry for You"?
Well, yeah, that's interesting because there was a produced videotape made of that night of. There was, a Paul Gilbert track or two, and then there was two songs of mine, "It's Getting Better" and "Cry for You." Then Steve Vai played a song at the end, and that's what got leaked. Some it wasn't ever supposed to be sold, but that's what somebody uploaded to YouTube years ago. And thankfully for me, because that performance of "Cry for You" was a big promotional tour, that people got to know me through that performance. But I don't think there's any commercial plans for it. I don't think Ibanez ever meant for it to get out the way it did. It was just supposed to be a promotional thing for dealers. And plus, it's already on YouTube, so I'm not sure what you need. it's already out there. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say a lot of fans like a good quality thing.
That's true.
Even if it's on YouTube.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'll try to find out. I'll see if there's any, where the master might be. Who knows? I know Simon Phillips mixed the audio. That was Simon's mixes. But
maybe you should ask Simon.
I took the original audio, so I did a remix of the "Cry for You" performance, and that's on my spoken and the unspoken record. That's a better quality, I think, overall mix than what's on the original YouTube version. I've got my own version that I put out on YouTube, and that's the one that sounds better to me.
All right. Nice. Well, you got to go to YouTube anyway. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, en Spanish, le estaban preguntando sobre esa actuación de "Cry for You" en el 90 aniversario de Ibanez. Y bueno, él dice, Andy, que bueno, que se consigue en YouTube, que de verdad, bueno, que él puede averiguar probablemente si puede lograr que de pronto salga una mejor calidad de esa actuación, pero que bueno, que si ya está en YouTube, ya es difícil que de verdad no hay ningún plan de Ibanez de lanzar esa grabación realmente. Okay, Andy, plans for touring? Are you planning to tour in the near future? Are you going to offer? There's a lot of new fashion right now from artists to offer kind of a meet and greet for a special added bonus for the ticket. Are you planning to do something like that?
Well, okay. So I've got some dates in July. We haven't posted them yet, but July is going to be happening in Italy. Coming back to Italy finally with the Ci Romano band. And then looks like some dates back in the UK with the pedal show guys in September, October, and then Asia. Well, Southeast Asia in either December or January. I mean, I'm not sure. It'll vary market to market whether we do any kind of added meet and greet type things. So we'll see about that. But till then, that's all we got for now.
Nice. Ok, le pregunté a Andy sobre si hay gira. Dice que sí, que va en julio, va a estar en Italia, así que pendiente el Necio Tama, que está en Italia. Va a estar en Asia también a final de año. En agosto tiene el evento del campamento de guitarristas con Eric Johnson, así que pendientes con eso realmente. Well, Andy, we get to the final part of the interview. I'm gonna so this is what we call the stubborn questions, which is I'm gonna give you two options, and you're gonna pick one, the one that you like the most. Some of them are difficult, but some of them are kind of easier. Some of them are fun, you know. So we try to make this. Okay. So I have 7 of them. So let's see what are going to be your choices. Let's see. This is the fun part of the interview. I think I know the answer to this one, but I gotta ask you: Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Beatles. I mean,
I know. That's an obvious one.
I love the Stones, but yeah, I'm a Beatles guy, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, but you love the Stones as well.
I do. Absolutely, very much so.
All right. Le pregunté Beatles o Rolling Stones, por supuesto, su opción es Beatles y dice que sí le gustan los Rolling Stones. Okay, the second one, played as a solo artist or played with a band with a singer?
Ooh, well, I have to go with solo artists. I go with solo artists because that's where you're going to really hear me. You know, if I'm playing with the vocalist, I'm going to do everything I can to make that vocalist sound great. You know, there will be me in there, but yeah, I think if it's my band, it's going to be my music. It's going to be more of my heart and soul. And that's always going to, at the end of the day, be more satisfying, at least to me. Not to say that I treat the other gig any differently, because that's just as important in the moment. What's best for the music, you know? But I'm very, very happy playing my own compositions, my own playing. You know, that's where I'm you know, happiest, I suppose.
Absolutely. Bueno, dice que prefiere tocar como solista que tocar con una banda, con un cantante, porque dice que ahí es donde lo van a escuchar a él, pero que obviamente si él le toca tocar con una banda, con un cantante, que él va a ayudar a ese cantante a sonar muy bien. Así que igual, pero lo que él prefiere es como solista. Okay, the third one. These are 2 albums. You have to pick one, or let's see if you can pick one. Screw It, the second Danger album, or Cockroach.
Ooh, God. That's tough. I like them all. I think sonically I like Screw It. Cockroach I think are better songs, you know. But there's great songs on both of them. I think Cockroach is a great record. I really do. It's a shame it didn't come out when it was supposed to come out, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, it came out years later, actually.
It came out years later, but yeah, I think that's a really, really fine piece of work, you know.
Absolutely. Bueno, él dice que escoge Screw It, pero lamentablemente fue un disco que no salió en el momento, salió en el año 2001, ya mucho después de cuando debió haber salido. All right, this is a tough one. Stevie Ray Vaughan or Eddie Van Halen?
Oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. That is impossible. My brain just broke. It's like that's really not fair. That's really not fair.
I know.
You know, either answer is right and either answer is wrong, you know. So I'm gonna plead that that's not a fair question, because I love each of them dearly and what they brought to the world, you know, just the joy and the passion that they brought to the music. So at different parts of my life, you know, one might have been more important in the moment than the other, but they're just so equally foundationally inextricable from the being, you know. I can't, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna have equal. If they're getting divorced and I'm the kid, I want equal custody. I'll be bouncing back and forth between, you know.
Yeah, they're both legends. They're both legends.
They're both legends, and they're both as meaningful to me, you know. You know, 2 of the biggest ever. So yeah. Absolutely. Sorry to disappoint with a very lame middle of the road answer, but I have to.
Middle of the road answer. No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, probably the Juan who made this question is the one who's going to get disappointed, but for me, it's okay.
Okay, it's Juan. Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Juan's watching. So I'm sorry, Juan.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The next one: Star Wars or Avatar?
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I don't like Avatar, so Star Wars.
All right, all right.
I didn't see the first Avatar. I only saw the recent Avatar,
Okay.
and it was just for me. So for me, it was too long and too violent. I mean, it was just. I mean, I fell asleep twice.
Oh, oh my God! You hated
so
that
I'm more.
movie. Yeah.
I'm a Star Wars guy by far
Yeah.
compared to Avatar. Yeah. But,
All right.
yeah.
Good. Good, good.
Yeah.
Bueno, le pregunté Guerra de las Galaxias o Avatar, se queda con la Guerra de las Galaxias porque dice que con Avatar se quedó dormido, así que, all right. All right, next one. Mexican food or Chinese food?
Oh no, this is equally as hard. This is equally as hard. God. But I'm gonna. Can't believe I'm gonna say that. I'm going with Mexican food. I live in Texas, and the Tex-Mex version of the food, it's unbeatable. You know, I'm very spoiled. But, you know, I have traveled all over China, and I lived in New York, where some of the best Chinese food ever for me. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be Mexican. Yeah.
Mexican. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Very good question.
Yeah. Somebody's here saying Italian food only.
Okay. Well, if I'm in Italy, hell yeah. You know, that's,
oh, yeah.
Sure. Some of the best food over there, no doubt about it. I just had a text. My wife is on her way home, so tonight we're making chicken tacos. So that should tell you something.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Nice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Él dice que se inclina por la comida mexicana, a pesar de que es difícil la respuesta. Comida mexicana porque, bueno, él vive en Texas y que le encanta la comida mexicana, pero que también le encanta la comida china. Okay, Andy, this is the last one. This is the last one and involves 2 albums as well.
Okay.
Ear Ecstasy 1 or Ear Ecstasy 2?
I think Ear Ecstasy 1. But, you know, I think because it was my first foray into instrumental guitars as a solo artist. So for that, you know, and it had a lot of different type of things on it. And, you know, it has Cry for You and Electric Gypsy and Hiroshima and, you know, some of those tunes. So pretty proud of that one. But the Ear Ecstasy 2 had Slips Away and Groove or Die and Nights You Remember. I think Ear Ecstasy 2 maybe sounds a bit better sonically, even though they were both recorded to 2-inch tape. But I think Ear Ecstasy, just because it's, you know, usually your first record, just like you're putting everything into it you can, your whole life leading up to that, like Van Halen 1. Everything leading up to that first record, you know, Foreigner 1, Boston, the first record, you know. But you know, I'm proud of all my records. They're all fun. I'm fond of them for all different reasons, you know. But that one's pretty special for me.
Great.
Yeah.
Bueno, él dice que se inclina por Ear Ecstasy 1 porque fue su primer disco, fue como quien dice su primera aventura como artista solista y como artista instrumental, y de verdad que eso para él significa mucho, a pesar de que Ear Ecstasy 2 también tiene temas muy increíbles, pero que él se inclina más por el 1 porque fue su primera experiencia como solista, su primera experiencia con todo. Así que es excelente. Andy, so
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Carlos.
Before we say, thanks to you a lot. So before we go, well, first remember all your social media, and if you can play us a little bit before we say goodbye.
Sure. You can always catch me here on Instagram, Andy Timmons Official, andytimmons.com. We'll have all the other info where you can order all my music, all the tabs, all the transcriptions. I have a guitar instructional site called guitarrexperience.net. No E before the X, so guitarrexperience.net. And I'll be on stage at live quite a bit throughout the rest of the year. On Saturdays, I usually broadcast around 2 p.m. CST, so look that up. And to play, what do you want to hear? Thanks so much for listening,
Wow.
everybody. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much for listening.
so much. Thank you
Thanks
so much. And by
thanks for hanging
the
out.
way, before we say goodbye, are you planning to include at least a riff from Danger in one of your solo shows?
Oh, yeah, it's every now and then on stage, and I'll do a whole night of Danger, or whole hour of Danger. I've done it a couple of times. So
Oh, nice.
if and when I do that again, I'll make sure I let you know. Okay, and so
I will.
you
Of
can tune
course.
in. Yeah. All
Great, of
right.
course. Okay, before we say goodbye, let me say it in Spanish a little bit. Okay, rapidito, antes de irnos, bueno, Andy, síganlo en sus redes sociales. Él todos los sábados hace un webcast, así que estén pendientes con eso, Guitar Experience. Así que pendientes con todo eso. Nosotros estamos muy contentos de haber tenido a Andy Timmons la noche de hoy. Y bueno, recuerden, los necios, seguimos aquí y esta entrevista próximamente estará en YouTube. Okay, so remember that this interview will be on YouTube very soon, Andy. So thank you so much for joining us, and
No
we hope
problem,
to
man.
see you again sometime.
Yeah. Thank you, Carlos. Thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you down the road somewhere. Ciao, everybody.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.